Hey everyone. Today's topic, create a litmus test for relationships. So a litmus test is basically a quick and easy way for you to determine whether or not you would like to spend more time on someone. So it's kind of like a qualifier to see if you would even like to enter into a relationship with someone. So it should be related to things that are important to you, things that you're passionate about. It's a way for you to qualify a potential romantic partner. So if there are things that are really important to you and this other person is not into those same things, that could be a litmus test that you could use to say, okay, well, if you're not into the same things I'm into, then I can't become, well, there's no future here, basically. That's what you'll realize. If they're not into the same things as you and you're really passionate about those things, then you probably don't want to include that person in your future because it likely just won't work out. So that's what a litmus test is all about. It's nothing manipulative. It's not an SHIT test, which many of the men will probably be familiar with because women do this to men all the time, and it is a manipulative tactic. So I'm not arguing for that crap. It's not where you're trying to set them up and see if they'll fail. None of that BS. It's just a qualifier to see if you would like to spend more time on this person. So one of the best ways I could explain this concept is just to show you an example that is my own litmus test that I use in my life. And it is, I see whether or not a woman is either interested in or put off by this side content that I make. I don't usually go out of my way to tell women that I make this content. I usually try to let them discover it on their own. I just don't care to bring it up because sometimes, well, one, I'm really bad at taking like compliments and whatnot from other people, so I don't go fishing for them. So yeah, that's part of it, but also I just don't really care to do it. But usually women will end up finding out that I do this on the side because either at some point it'll be brought up about like what I'm passionate about, or she'll just, if I meet her in person, I'll give her my Instagram to let her see this content and see what she thinks. Or if I meet her online, I have like my Instagram linked to my online dating profile. So there are just various ways where a woman will come into contact with this side content that I create. And my whole goal there is just to see her opinion of this content I make, because I want to see whether or not she actually likes it or is put off by it. Because my whole goal there is, well, my whole assumption, should I say, is that I believe a woman who is the type that I would obviously want to create a future with will like that I do this content. In fact, she will hopefully find it interesting and be curious about it, because that will tell me she is likely on her own path of personal growth. But if she's put off by this content, that also tells me a few things. One, it immediately tells me I do not want to spend time on her because I'm going to continue doing this regardless. And if a woman isn't into this, then I probably don't want to include her in my life because this is just one of the things I'm most passionate about. But two, it almost immediately tells me she probably is not into personal growth. In fact, she may be one of those average people who do not like the fact that they have issues they need to work on. She may completely lack self-awareness and emotional maturity and so on and so forth. And I'm just not down for that. I don't want to include a woman like that in my life. So I use this content that I make as a litmus test. If a woman likes that I do this content, then I know, okay, cool. There's potential for a future here. We can move forward. If she doesn't like this content, then I know I'm not spending any more time on her because I just don't want to deal with that. Yeah, so funny enough, I thought of making this video because of a recent thing that happened where one of my friends was actually trying to set me up with a coworker of his. So he gave that coworker my Instagram handle, and she took one look at my Instagram page and was put off by it and did not want to see me. She said she found me attractive, but she didn't like that I make personal development content. And it was really funny because when my friend was explaining this to me, he was just kind of being apologetic, trying to basically what someone will do when they think that you're going to be hurt by news. But I actually was okay, you think I'm going to be hurt? No, you did me a favor, dude. She did me a favor. It's I don't want to talk to a woman who doesn't like the fact that I make this content. And he did even verify this, she's not into personal development. She doesn't really work on herself. And I immediately knew that once he said it, because I was yeah, If she was into those things, she probably would have been more interested in this content that I do, not put off by it. So yeah, it's one of those things. So I definitely use this side content that I make as a litmus test when dating, and it helps. It really does. So in your own life, try to create your own litmus test as well. Now, I imagine not many of you make side content like this, but there are things that you're going to be really passionate about, things that are incredibly important to you. So ask yourself what those things are, and ask yourself if you could live with a partner who isn't into those things as well. I'll just use a random example here. This obviously doesn't have to hold true for you, but let's say you're really passionate about football. That's something that's incredibly important to you. You spend every Sunday watching your favorite team play, or maybe you even go to the games in person to watch. So it's incredibly important to you. You're really passionate about it. Well, you're probably going to want to meet someone else who's also passionate about football, because otherwise there's going to be a disconnect between you and your potential romantic interests. If they're not into football just like you are, then what are you going to do on Sundays? You're going to want to spend your time watching football. They're going to want to spend it doing whatever they're into, and it could just create kind of, that disconnect in the relationship. So it's really important to figure out whatever those passions are for you, whatever those things that are important to you, and use that as a litmus test for romantic interests. If they're into the same things as you, then you know, okay, there's a potential future here. If they're not into those same things, well, now you know, hey, maybe we could have some short-term fun, but there isn't going to be a future with this person. So it's just something that you can know and keep in mind going forward. So there you go. That's the whole concept of creating a litmus test for relationships. It's just a really easy, simple way for you to gauge whether or not there's a potential future with a romantic interest. So definitely take the time to create a litmus test yourself, because it'll just help you date more consciously. It'll help you save time. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I truly hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was interesting for you. And if you like content like this, be sure to subscribe for more. Otherwise, the easiest way you can help me out is just to throw a like and a comment on the video for the algorithm. I will see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci.